Let's go ahead and focus up. And we have 2 sets of notes we're going to do. I'm going to go kind of quick through them, so it might be something that you need to finish on your own. Okay. I'm probably just going to go through the slides and talk about each of them, answer your questions if you have them. You might need to do the copy and pasting on your own time. I did post, okay, so in science, I did post the actual Google Slides. Now, with that being said, if I see you guys talking on them, I will take them down immediately and put up the PDF instead, where you don't get to copy and paste. So I should not see anybody in the Google Slides from our classroom. Is that understood? Okay. Other classes might have it posted, but yeah, do not be talking in the chat. If I see one of our classmates in there, I will take down the Google Slides and put the PDF up for you guys instead, which means you will not be able to copy and paste. So you guys have access to copy and pasting right now, but I should not see you guys chatting on there. Capiche? Understood? There is no way to accidentally do it, so no. Okay. So like I said, we're going to talk about 2 different types of ecosystems today that are water-based. We're going to talk about freshwater ecosystems and then marine ecosystems. Good. So freshwater is going to be like rivers and streams and lakes and stuff where it's freshwater, it's not salt water. Marine ecosystems are like the ocean and the sea where there's salt water. Yeah, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian. So we're going to start with freshwater. Like I said, I'm just going to go through the slides because we do not have that much time today. We only have a half hour. So I'm going to go through the slides, and you guys might need to do the copy and pasting later. But these notes do need to be completed probably on your own time. Capiche and understood? Okay, if you're able to keep up with me while you do it, that's totally fine too. But you might want to just listen today and finish it up later. So, Monday. Freshwater ecosystems. Next Friday. Yeah. By next Friday, it needs to be completed. So freshwater ecosystems are a type of aquatic ecosystem. And aquatic just means water. They include lakes, ponds, wetlands, rivers, and streams. So if you look at these, none of these are the ocean. They're just really big lakes. Some of them are like pond-looking things. This is probably a wetland where it's just really, really wet grass. Like it's grass that's in like still water that's like this tall. Okay?
Well, like when you're going to like Phoenix or stuff, no, not Phoenix. When you're going to like stuff, you'll go past some things like that.
Yeah, so it's like really, really shallow water that has a lot of grass in it. Lakes and ponds are bodies of still standing water, so they're not running water like rivers. Yep. Wetlands are areas that are land, but they're saturated with water. They just have like a little bit of water in them, so you don't necessarily want to walk through them, but it's not very deep. And then rivers and streams are moving bodies of fresh water, so like the rivers will flow, right? Mm-hmm. If you think about Clear Creek in Winslow, this is a freshwater ecosystem. It's not salt water. It's a river that is flowing. Really? Is it a river? Is it flowing?
I think it's just like.
Well, a creek. Yeah, I guess it is. It starts from like some. Yeah, it just goes down in this canyon, and people take their canoes and stuff, and they canoe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a type of river. It's just it's a river.
Yeah, so, just a slow-moving one.
It's a slow-moving river, but it's still a river. Okay, guys, focus up and out there, please. Okay, next slide. Freshwater ecosystems are very important to fish and other organisms that must live in fresh water. There are some types of animals and plants that cannot survive in salt water. They need fresh water to survive. I don't know for sure. Freshwater ecosystems are important to organisms that do not live in freshwater habitats. All living things need water to survive. Animals, which includes us as humans, depend on and obtain water from freshwater ecosystems. So we as humans don't drink salt water. It tastes gross, first of all. It's not going to be able to keep you alive like fresh water. You can like boil salt water and get all the salt out and still drink it, but that's a lot of work. So we as humans get our water from freshwater ecosystems and filter it to be able to be drinkable by humans. You can drink it straight out. It might not be good for you, but you know, yeah. Yes, Alex. Nothing. No. So some things that depend on fresh water. You have this little nice little fish right here. Don't know what type of fish it is.
Oh, it's a mullet.
Is what?
It's a mullet.
Okay. This is an alligator or a crocodile. I don't actually know how to tell the difference between them, but it's one of those two.
I know how to tell. Can I know how? There's two.
Yeah.
So crocodiles are either a brownish, greenish, olive color, and alligators are either gray blue to dark to black, and crocodiles teeth the bottom teeth show and their top teeth show, but on a alligator only their top teeth show, and then you can tell by their snout. If it's a V, it's a crocodile. If it's a U, it's a alligator.
Okay, so this one looks like it's a crocodile then, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. And then ducks are gonna need fresh water, and then this flower, don't know what it is, needs fresh water. Put it away. Okay. Next one. We divide freshwater ecosystems into zones. They call this the freshwater zonation. So dividing it into zones means that there's different parts of it that are labeled by different things. Different plants and animals will grow or live in these different zones. So our first one, the zone closest to the shore is called the littoral zone, which is like litter.
Do we do the chart thing for this thing on the thing?
Yeah, you guys can fill this out. And I know that there's this picture on there. If you want to edit the drawing and put the zones on there, you can, but I'm not going to require you to write it on the picture, okay?
So, but we still do, wait, what do you mean by we still do the drawing thing?
On your notes, when you're doing them, so you need to fill out the lines and stuff, right? But here where it says label the zones, you don't need to do that. That's all right. But you do need to make sure that you fill out the chart about each zone.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, good.
Can we copy and paste the part that has the type of zone in it, like the bullet point that has it in it?
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
Maybe we'll see. Okay. This water is shallow, and the sunlight can reach the bottom of where this zone is. Plants will grow along the bottom of this zone because of the high level of light. I can't read what that says. Oh, it's lagging. Sorry. Do your best that you can, but it's mainly just listening, and you can do the copy and pasting later, Gabriel, if you need to. Yeah, you can turn them in if you finish. Okay?
I thought there was both of them before we started, and then I went to start, I just started labeling the things.
Okay, that's good.
And I'm gonna label the other one.
All right, so like I said, plants will grow along the bottom of this one because there's a lot of light that can reach them. The water is warm because the sun is there. Things that live there are going to be small crustaceans, which is like clams. Well, not clams, but like little tiny little shells. Huh? Snails, things like that, yeah. Worms, insects, snails, frogs, fish, and turtles. They can live in this zone. Turtles. Okay. Our next zone is the limnetic zone. This is a layer of open water just off the shore. So it's about here to here, this area kind of right here that's lighter blue. It's the upper region of the water where light can still get through. So a certain amount of light can get through the top of the water, and then once you go lower, it's going to get darker, right? The water is going to be warm here near the surface. And if you travel deeper, the water becomes colder and colder because the sun isn't going that far. Like a swimming pool, yeah. Algae, which is floating microorganisms, things like plankton and fish will live here as well. But a lot of things will float on the surface of this part that don't need to grow. Yeah. Okay, our next one, the photic zone. Together, The littoral and the limnetic zone form the photic zone. So this whole thing, all of this water right here that's lighter blue is the photic zone. This is the area inshore and offshore that has water that gets a lot of light. So you can still see down into the depths of this part of the water. Once you go deeper, you won't be able to see anymore. But this is characterized by the amount of light.
So kind of like if you go on a rock, you can still see.
Hmm?
Like if you go on a rock higher than those waters, you can still see it or something.
Yeah, that's the photic zone, wherever you can see the light. But once you go deep enough, you won't be able to see anymore because the sunlight won't go that far through the water. Yeah.
Why?
Because the sunlight can only go so far through water. Just like how, like the light I don't know how to describe it.
I know, that's not fun.
Okay, the next part, the profundal zone. These are some interesting names. This is like when it's deep enough that the light cannot get through. So many lakes are deep enough that light cannot reach the bottom of the lake. That's the profundal zone because the light can't get that far down. It's also called the aphotic zone because you can't see past it. Okay? So that's where the light does not reach.
Carl Turner didn't tell us his finger story.
Oh, he did not. Maybe Monday.
Should love that.
I'll ask him later. The profundal zone is cool and cold water because the sunlight is not reaching that water to make it warm.
I know that story by heart.
Organisms that live in the profundal zone feed on the organic matter that floats down from the limnetic zone. Many of the bacteria and fungi float around in the profundal zone, so they're just kind of floating there. Kind of gross, but you know, it's the water.
Like when a fish floats up.
Yep. Our next one is the benthic zone. This is the bottom layer of the freshwater. It's right here along the shore. The benthic zone extends along the bottom of the shore. So it's basically the bottom of wherever your lake is.
I got one.
Yes, what?
Like an example like that. Like the swimming pool, how it goes down.
Yeah, like how a swimming pool goes down, it's the bottom of your pool.
Yeah.
Or the bottom of the lake or the bottom of the river. Okay? The benthic zone is rich in detritus, which is waste that's produced by organisms. So the gross things that you don't want to step in. Right?
I can just imagine.
Yeah. Okay. And then our next one. I know I'm going quick, but like I said, you guys can copy and paste later. More things about the benthic zone. Scavengers and decomposers will live in this zone. They are called the bottom feeders because they're feeding on the bottom of the ocean or bottom of the lake. Yep. Scavengers will crawl along the benthic zone and feed on these dead organisms and the waste that sinks down there. Decomposers will break down the dead organisms and the waste that falls from the higher zones. So this benthic zone is at the bottom of the lake or the bottom of the river. And
I know what the sharks are kind of like just eat whatever.
if it's a freshwater shark, it will go down there, yeah. Most sharks have to live in the sea, though.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I don't know. It might be leeches. I don't know. We'd have to look that up. Okay. That's the end of that PowerPoint. So like I said, if you guys were keeping up with me and able to copy and paste that quick, awesome. You can turn that in when you are done, but we are going to go ahead and look over at our other type of ecosystem. Okay. That's all right. So we have our marine ecosystem next. Again, I don't think that you guys will be able to do the copy and pasting of the notes as I go over it, so you might have to complete this later. On the marine ecosystems notes, there is another diagram. Again, you don't need to label this one, but you do need to fill out the chart that has the different zones on it. Okay? So make sure you do those. Let's go ahead and start this one. Again, please do not be typing in the chat. You guys are doing really good with that so far. Thank you. I appreciate it. We only have about 10 minutes or so. So 10-ish minutes, about 14 minutes. So until it's time to head out. So we're going to go kind of quick. So marine ecosystems. These are the largest ecosystems.
Isn't that a
It looks like a blue starfish. Yes, I don't know what it is, but
Okay.
So-
I was wondering.
marine ecosystems are the largest ecosystems on Earth, and they cover more than 2/3 of the Earth's surface. Alex, if I see it one more time, I'm gonna take it. Okay. So these are oceans and seas and all that stuff. They cover about 2/3 of the Earth's surface. Marine ecosystems have water that is high in salt, so salt water. It's called saltwater or seawater. It's the one you don't really want to drink salt or seawater. It's not. Yeah, it's not the
Isn't
good
it
for
not
you.
good for the human body?
No, it's not good for humans. No, you need to make sure all the salt is gone out of water because too much salt is not good for you.
Then why do people drink salt water when they have cramps?
I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
I don't know. But I was wondering.
Heard
Okay.
of what? Drinking salt water?
Yeah, to treat cramps.
It helps. It helps if you have a sore throat or something. It like
Yeah, it
drinking
helps a little
salt
bit with
water.
Yeah, but like drinking a ton of it is not gonna be good.
Yeah, like 10 cups. Not even 10. Maybe like 3.
Yeah, you really shouldn't drink a lot. And yes, salt water.
Salt is good. I love salt.
Salt is good, but just drinking only salt water without fresh water, it can potentially kill you. Yes, Gabriel, you are correct. So, salt water is salty because there's a lot of other salts and minerals that are deposited in it. So, there's just a lot of things in it that make it salty, and it's not great for us as humans. But there are animals and plants that need salt water to survive. So, that's just the way that their bodies are built as animals. So, marine ecosystems are divided into zones as well. This kind of depends on the depth that they're at as well. So, we'll talk about these different zones. Our first one is the intertidal zone. That one is at the very, very top, right along the coastline. So, if you're walking along on a beach, you are on the intertidal zone. It's covered by salt water during the high tide. So, when the tide comes up, it's covered by the ocean. And then when the low tide is there and the tide goes down, that's when all of that salt.
Do we do the picture on the thing too?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Just the charts. So when the tide goes down, it exposes all of like the wet sand, and there's like different plants and animals in there too. That's the intertidal zone. Okay, the sunlight will penetrate to the ocean floor in the intertidal zone, and the water is warm there, depending on where you are.
Wait, would we so would we just do that first bullet point for the first part?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, there's a lot of animals that live in this zone. It's a lot of seaweed and like vegetation, clams, things like that. Things that don't need a lot of water, they can live in or out of the water.
So like kind of like crabs.
Crabs live in that area as well. Yep.
You know what lives in the? It's either in the abyss or the trenches or whatever. You know what kind of shark lives in there, or the midnight zone?
No, what shark?
A goblin shark, and it looks
Goblin shark.
gross.
Goblin sharks are really gross. Yes.
Yeah, like they stick out their mouth and just.
It's an interesting fact, Phil. I like that.
Wait, what did he say? I didn't.
It's in the chat.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to keep going here. The next one is the NERITIC zone. It is a relatively shallow part of the ocean, no more than 200 meters, which is still 600 feet. It's located between the intertidal zone and the edge of the continental shelf. So it's the green area right here.
Did you know the more down you go, the more pressure it gets?
Yep. Yep.
That's why no one has ever been down there, because it'll crush their submarine or something.
Yep. You can get shingles from that. Okay. Okay, we're getting a little low on time, so let's focus up. So we've got the NERITIC zone. Sunlight can get to the ocean floor here, so the water is warm here. There's a lot of plants and animals that do live here. But there's an abrupt end to the continental shelf, often called the continental margin. And that's basically where like the shore is and the bottom of the ocean is just kind of going, and then it kind of drops off. It's called the continental shelf. The depth of the ocean at that spot where the shelf drops off gets really, really deep after that. Okay? That's where we try and explore, yeah. Some of us. We can't go down that far sometimes because of the pressure in the ocean. And it's cold. Most marine animals, hang on. Most marine animals will live in the neritic zone. This is where a lot of fish live, the plankton, algae, crustaceans, which are like lobsters and crabs and hermit crabs, all the things. A lot of coral is in this area as well. Okay. The next one, again, we have the benthic zone. This is the bottom of the ocean again. It goes along the bottom. It extends from the shoreline down all the way into the abyss, all the way down. So along the shore. The environment of the benthic zone dramatically changes the deeper that you go. So the things that live in the benthic zone will change the deeper you go in the ocean. Marine plants, seaweeds, sponges, sea stars, snails all live on the ocean floor. Sea anemones and things like that. The organisms that live on the ocean floor in the abyss are adapted to poorly oxygenated water and cold temperatures. So when they live on the ocean floor, they're used to not being warm. Like it's cold there. They're used to that. That's how they survive.
Anemone.
Exactly. Yep.
Did you know there's a crab that lives at the bottom of the ocean, and he lives down there by all the underwater volcanoes, and
That's
it's
pretty
like
cool.
a hairy crab and stuff, and he has like little hairs on him.
That's cool.
And then there's such thing as a fish called a blobfish.
I have heard of a blobfish before.
They look cool. I want one.
They're weird but cool looking.
Yes.
Most of the organisms that live on the ocean floor right here in the benthic zone are scavengers, and they feed on the detritus and the dead organisms that sink to the bottom of the ocean. Our next one, the oceanic zone. That is the offshore water where the depth of the ocean is 200 meters or greater. The depth here varies greatly in the zone. So the oceanic zone includes all the water from the surface of the ocean floor, so all the way down. And it begins at the neritic zone at the continental margin. So it starts about here and goes all the way across and down. Good, I'm glad. Good. Now, this part, the oceanic zone, is split into 5 different zones. The sunlight zone, the twilight zone, midnight zone, the abyss, and the trenches. So we're going to finish this before we go because we got plenty of time. So keep focused, please. The sunlight zone is also called the epiologic zone. It receives sunlight so it can support photosynthesis. It includes the intertidal and the neritic zones where the sunlight can reach the ocean floor. And it also includes water in the oceanic zone that goes up to 200 meters. So it's the green zone right here, all of the green. Plants and algae, plankton, jellyfish, tuna, sharks, dolphins, they all live in this area because it goes to as far as 600 feet deep. That's pretty far. Doesn't look like it's very big on this, but that's because the ocean floor can go very, 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 very far down. So this green part is about like 600 feet deep. So
Did
anything
you know some lakes are like over 1,000 feet deep?
Yeah, there's some lakes that are really deep.
Probably like the Great Lakes.
Yep.
Or like Powell.
Our next one is the twilight zone, also called the mesopelagic zone. It receives very little sunlight, so not a lot of sunlight. Photosynthesis cannot take place here, and there's very little oxygen for animals that are down there. The twilight zone will extend from 200 meters to 1,000 meters below the surface. So again, that's going to be 600 feet to 3,000 feet. So that's a pretty big difference. Okay, things that live there are going to be some fish, like the swordfish, But they're adapted and they are able to survive with less oxygen down there. Kind of what they're built for. Yeah. Our next one, the midnight zone. Skylar, please stop. Also called the bathypelagic zone, goes from 1,000 to 4,000 meters below the ocean's surface, which means that it goes from about 3,000 feet to 12,000 feet below the water. The water here is pitch black. You can't see anything, and the water pressure is very, very, very high in this zone. You don't want to go that far down. It's not going to be good for humans. But some plants and animals are adapted to live down that low. But there's very few things that actually do live down there. Our next one is the abyss. This is the second lowest region from the ocean floor. It extends from 4,000 meters down to the actual ocean floor, depending on how deep that is. So it can be anywhere below 12,000 feet in the ocean. It's super dark, can't see anything, pitch black, and it's super cold down there. There's a few species that can survive. Some of the squids, some sea cucumbers, and sea spiders live there. Yes, there are sea spiders, which is gross.
Wait, sea spiders?
Yep. The last one is the trenches. These ones can get really, really, really deep. They are pretty much anything that's below. So, well, some of them go from 6,000 to 10,000 meters below the surface. So that's over 18,000 feet below.
That's like 30,000 feet if you multiply it right.
Yep. Around 30,000 feet, I think, is the lowest one.
Well, no, it's not.
It's pretty far.
Well, I wonder how many feet it is across the U.S. Not
Yeah, and I never
30,000
actually
feet.
did any of that, so I'm a little bit annoyed by it.
It might be as
Yeah.
deep. It might be as deep as a state, maybe.
Potentially.
I turned it in anyway.
Yeah, the deepest trench in the world is the Marianas Trench. It's located in the Pacific Ocean, and it's 10,911 meters deep, which is almost 7 miles. No, I don't think.
Well,
Not
maybe
yet.
it's not. It wouldn't be a state. There's no way it'd be a state. It'd be probably maybe 21 miles deep.
That's too far. The deepest trench in the world is only 7 miles deep, which is still a lot. But humans have not gone to the bottom of this. Only like machines and robots that they've built have gone that far. Yeah. Things that live down there that do live in the trenches, bacteria can live down there. Tube worms, sea cucumbers, some jellyfish, a couple fish live down there. Many scientists believe that the first forms of life on Earth may resemble the creatures that are found in these trenches, which is interesting. Okay? And that is the end of our PowerPoint. So like I said, if you were not able to copy and paste as quick as I went, which I wouldn't assume that you might be able to, which is okay, just make sure you finish the copy and pasting of these different charts, and you can turn both of those in when you're done. But that is science for the day. So, yeah. Yes, Gabriel, most things in the ocean are cold-blooded. Yep. Oh, he left. But oh well. That's fine. That is science for the day. Like I said, those of you that have not finished things from last week,